Island her name. Annalise is actually good. What's happening?
Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, we'll find a friend to care it.
We are Our Place Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host, Louise Palanker. You're not alone at Our Place. I'm here with a panel of wise and wonderful teens. We've got Montana, Kimute, Ryan, Nico, Nikki, Sam. We have Jake. We have a new girl. Introduce yourself, new girl.
I'm Nina. Hi.
Nina's here, everybody. Yeah. So, Nina, when you talk into the microphone, put your face right next to the microphone, uncomfortably close, to the point
When you
where
think
you
you're close
feel
enough, you're not close
Hi.
enough.
like the
Nina.
microphone is being very creepy. That's when you know you're close enough. We've got some excellent stuff going on because last week, almost everybody, I'm going to look directly at Nikki, took the ice bucket challenge and got very damp and did the whole show with wet head. And Matt, who's a mensch and a person, decided that he's been challenged and he also missed last week. So, Jakey, can you cue up that footage?
Which one?
Matt went out. This just happened. This happened moments ago. You can see Nikki, who's very smugly dry, with a and remain dry. And if anybody wants to call in and make suggestions as to how we can get this boy more damp, please, we're open to your suggestions because there's just a little bit too much enjoyment on Nikki's part here. And Matt is challenging his brothers Tyler and Kip. And he's about to get... There we go. Yeah. Yay! Nicely done. Nicely done, Matt. Nicely done. Kip, Sigmund, Tyler Sigmund, you have 24 hours. And then, of course, last week we had a 3-camera shoot. It was pretty elaborate. And we took it into the edit bay and did some magic, man. Fixed it all in post. Yeah, that's us really a little bit too excited about what's about to happen.
It turned out pretty great, though.
It really came out great. There's a lot of slow-mo. There's Ryan. Yep, from several angles. Getting very, very, very dunked. And Nico, I don't know if he had some caffeine. I don't really know.
He was into
can't
it. He was
really
really into it.
explain Nico's behavior.
I was strangely interesting that day.
Throughout the proceedings, but he was like, he thought that this was some sort of like Muscle Beach event, and he was like a caveman who sort of maybe had a Jolt Cola. I don't know.
Okay, for what it's
Olivia
worth,
was standing next to the camera going, I don't want this happening to me. And then that happened to her. And then the best thing was her response was to just throw it in Montana's face. Boom. Yeah. Oh, this is how it's done. You just throw water at people. Okay. So Montana was like, because she was so really eager to get Sam that I had to run and duck out of the way. And then Jake was a little bit too gleeful, so his time was coming. Yes. But then Jake called out Keo, which was, I think, what Jake had in mind, because Jake is a very good leaper. He likes to leap into the air, and he did so because that's what must be done in order to dunk Keo. And there he goes. He's airborne, and even after all that leaping, Keo's too tall to get very wet, so he just shook his head, and the water was gone. But, of course, Nico is screaming, dunked, like a frat boy. And then Lauren was like she was being baptized. Oh! Yeah. And then, of course, I tried to write a check, and you guys had other ideas. You were plotting against me, and I consider it to be a betrayal. But we did send $500 to ALS. And on the video, we put the website, and we but as soon as the water comes down on my head, Jake, you can just freeze it and let everybody really understand that I was the one who got the most precipitation.
Jake,
It was weather-wise a very wet day. And
can we also establish that at the end it looked like Nico was trying to kiss me in our chest bump?
Oh,
Jake,
let's
can
get
you
to the
posit
chest. Get to the chest bump.
In your dreams, Ryan.
Get to the chest bump because Ryan did some screen caps of the chest bump.
You got to
and
pause
he
at the peak height.
And he found some very romantic moments. All right, there's me. I'm really
It's at the very
Not
end.
enjoying this at all, although I managed to continue talking, which is what I'm doing right now. And I think we have a caller, and we'll get to that as soon as I stop yammering. I think I was challenging the royal baby, and I don't think anyone should dump ice water on a baby, just to be clear about that.
Ice
The royal
water
baby
baptism.
can do this when he's about 27. And then this happened. So, yeah.
Right there. Look.
Yeah.
Mwah. Let me add the mood music.
And Will is just like, I feel awkward.
If you go about 2 more frames to when we're descending again, you can see his face, and that he's look right there.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
look at
he
his face. Look at
planted
his
one.
face.
He
He's like totally
planted
going for it.
one right
Ryan, I think
on
you're
you.
seeing things.
Are you guys dating now? It's really
It was
nice.
just a makeout party,
All right,
Weezy.
it's pretty nice. It was like 50 seconds of heaven or whatever that game is called. 7 minutes in heaven.
In Ryan's
All
case, it is
right.
50 seconds of heaven.
Let's see who's on.
There was nothing
the
heavenly
phone
about
and
that.
what they have to say about that epic chest bump. Hello, thanks for calling our place.
Hi, it's Maddie.
Hi, Maddie. Are you calling?
How
from...
are you?
I'm really good, but I'm not the one at boarding school. So more importantly, how are you?
I am okay. I'm pretty tired, but I am okay.
Because I know that before you went, you kept saying, it's not boarding school. That's my impression of Maddie. It's not boarding school. It's college. I'm going to college. And I'm going to college 2 years ahead of my brother, who's 2 years older than me, and I'm going to college. Well, now that you're there, is it boarding school or is it college?
It is college.
Oh, yuck. Frat party. All right. So did you want us to let's read the question that had to do with boarding school. So Catherine wrote, I've just moved to a boarding school on Monday, and I absolutely hate it. Everyone is telling me that I will get used to it, and I'm sick of it because I don't want to get used to it. I don't want you to try and convince me to stay and that it will get better because I don't care. I just want to know if it's normal for someone to leave boarding school because they don't think it's just for them. Please help me. I'm scared, and I'm not going to survive this! ! So, Ryan, you really feel like you have more to say about this than Maddie?
I mean, yeah.
All right.
I feel like I have more to say about most things than most people.
Well, you have been to boarding school.
I
And
have
you went
been to
when you
boarding
were
school.
super duper young.
Yes, I was 12 when I left. But
So-
I was going to... Oh, go ahead.
Maddie, is it okay if Ryan talks first? Because it would be just like in real life if you were here.
It would be, and you know what? I think that would be fine. I could accept that.
Okay, go ahead,
I
Ryan.
appreciate that, Maddie. A little bit.
I do.
No, but I was just going to say that, you got to kind of look at why you don't like it. And if it's an issue of missing your family, then that's something that usually, from what I've learned and what I've been around people, just kind of gets better with time. But if it's actually the environment you're in, if that's not something that's supportive of you, then that is a good reason to leave the boarding school. What do you think, Maddie?
Oh, nicely done.
You know, I'm really happy you asked me, Ryan, because I happen
I'm not
to
happy.
be at a boarding school-esque type college because the students are a bit younger. They're closer to boarding school age than college age. And, I would have to say that it's pretty much as Ryan said. If it's more of like an adjustment issue, then, talk to a teacher, talk to, a friend, talk to someone who, you would, trust to talk to. It doesn't even have to be someone that you particularly like, just someone you can kind of voice your thoughts to. But I do have to say that, what I'm doing is almost more of a commitment than boarding school because it's not, high school. It's, it's separate from that. And there was a girl, actually my next door neighbor, and we've been here this is the beginning of the 3rd week. But she was here for 2 weeks, and it just wasn't for her. She was really struggling with, also missing her family, but it was just really not for her. And she did go home. She went home yesterday. And so it is normal, to go home. Like, it's not a prison. You will, if you need to go home, you will get home, is what I would say to that. But try to stay a little longer because there's obviously a reason why somebody in your life thought that it was best for you to be there.
So maybe, would 2 weeks be an adequate amount of time, or do you feel like a month? Like, how long should a kid remain unhappy with no change?
I think it depends on what they do for themselves. I think if they do absolutely nothing, then they need to wait it out. But if they, go talk to people and they're, trying to sort it out and it's just really not working no matter what they do for themselves, then I think 2 or 3 weeks is probably a good, point to say, hey, listen, this really isn't working out. I do need to come home.
So can you tell us about your arc, how long you've been there, how you felt, and how you're feeling now?
Yeah, for sure. I got here 2 weeks ago. I got here on a Saturday, and it's now Tuesday of the 3rd week. And, it's been a little of a tough transition. First of all, I'm a city girl. This is literally the woods. I was so scared I was going to get attacked by a bear. You have no idea the kind of bugs I found in my backpack. Like, it's terrifying, which was a big adjustment. Also, the fact that, a lot of people are going home for the weekend, which is something that I can't do, because I'm all the way on the other side of the country. So, it was definitely a big adjustment. I missed home, I missed family, I missed you guys, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Why
and
wouldn't
it was tough. But there's a counselor here. We have PAs, which are assistants to the resident directors, and they're students, and so they can just kind of be there for you to talk to, and that also really helped. But I think someone was about to say something, but I'm not sure who it was.
Ryan's hand is up.
Question for Maddie. And I know it's only been 3 weeks, so it's probably a little soon for this to be kind of applicable. But I know sometimes in college environments or boarding school environments, when someone can't go home for the weekend, they sometimes go home with a close friend to their house and just hang out with them there. Is that something you think you'll be doing at some point, or you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. I've made a pretty close friend who lives in Martha's Vineyard. And
Is that close
so
to
that's
where you
a
are?
lot closer to here than LA is. And she said it would be fine for me to go home with her for the weekend.
Is her last name Kennedy? Because that's a good family to marry into.
Not. It's not. I do know a girl named Kennedy, but that's her first name.
Then she's from MTV, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, people do that.
Well, I'm really proud of you. You sound good. Your voice sounds good. You sound happy. I think this is really an epic adventure, and we can't wait to follow it with you. Maybe you could send us some pictures of you at your not a boarding school, and we'll use them during the show next week. How does that sound?
Definitely. I mean, it's very, very woodsy. You're going to be surprised. It kind of looks like I'm in the middle of the woods, and that's because I am.
All right, and we want to see some of the bugs that you found in your backpack and the bear that's trying to kill you.
I swear to God, I thought I had a heart
Selfie
attack.
with
This
the
guy
bear.
was so nice. He's like, I'll get it for you. And I'm like, oh, my God, panic.
That's how
I didn't even notice he was cute. I probably should have checked.
Aw. Thank you so much for calling, Maddie. We'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, I'll talk to you guys another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Keo, you had a point?
Yeah, something that I would think about if I were Catherine is figure out exactly why you hate it there and come up with actual things that you can tell someone. Like, if you're going to call your parents and say, I hate it there, they're going to ask why or, what do you hate? So it's easier to maybe, if it's not the right fit, to get out of there quicker. And it's also easier to make it a better place because then those problems might be able to be fixed.
Right, and sometimes the kid has no choice as to why they're at boarding school.
Yeah.
The parents both travel, and the choice has been made, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nico?
I feel like this could be a larger version of what we talked about a few weeks ago with the sports and how you didn't feel like you were having fun with it.
Oh, the color guard thing?
Maybe this is like your practice time, just trying to find friends, trying to find where you really click, your click, as they would say, as the cool kids would.
The kids would say that.
And, yeah, exactly.
I never knew that.
Yeah, me
Why
neither.
is it
I just
spelled
thought
like
of it
with
now.
a Q then?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
Oh.
Yeah, I
okay.
just made that up now, honestly,
Oh my
but
God.
it makes sense.
You convinced me. So.
And anyway, it's just like maybe you have to put in like a month or two more of trying to really find friends and find where you matter and really make an effort. And if you can't find it, then maybe that school really just isn't for you and you need to talk to your parents.
I think job one is I'm here physically, so I must physically try before I just raise my hand and say,
Exactly.
this is hell, get me out of here.
Trying is super important. And Montana?
Yeah, and the other thing you can do is, especially if she can't, get out of boarding school, because sometimes it'll be no, you need to be here because of certain circumstances. She could definitely talk to, a counselor or something, because especially in boarding schools, they have, good counselors that you can, or I don't know if good, but most of the time they're better than, regular, just, public school counselors, and they're there and they're available all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Ryan?
I agree with both of those things that have been said. To follow along a little bit with Nico's analogy and comparing it to that sports thing, sometimes game 1 of the season can be rough, so even when you get into full swing, give it a little bit of time, get to maybe game 3 or 4, make it a little way through the season, and then see how you're feeling. I also think it's really important to try when you're there. That's a big game changer when you put in the effort.
I think it's really important to prove to yourself that you are a person who tries. no matter what it is that's placed in front of you, you're going to give it your best effort before you just simply say, I don't like this. And that will change how you see yourself as you walk through life, because if it's really easy for you to extricate yourself from every single situation, you start to become someone who's not doing anything, and you really don't want that to be who you are. So, I mean, I think 2 weeks sounds fair. Maybe a month for school activities, because you get to go home at night, unless it's some kind of, like, horrible haunted house kind of thing that you signed up for. Then don't do that. We're Our Place Out Loud. 888-531-7171 is the phone number. We're going to jump ahead. We've got Confused Girl. Oh, should we do the Do You Believe in YOLO question?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so even though this has anonymous and it didn't have a name, and I like to use people's names when they write into the show, but anonymous wrote just simply, do you believe in YOLO? And I didn't know it was a religion or like a deity or, you know, someone that you could actually, you know, wear around your neck. Oh, Jakey wants to talk.
Okay. Is that my camera? Yeah, cool. Okay. So I found this really interesting YouTube video a few months ago, or whenever YOLO was actually a thing that happened. And it compares YOLO, Taoism, and Nicolas Cage all together.
Yummy.
And it talks about how Taoism was all about, you know, living your life and stuff like that, but it was like, you know, thought about by philosophers and stuff and not just random people. But and then it compares that to how Nicolas Cage acts in his movies, where he chooses terrible movies and just acts however he wants to in them, and then we enjoy it just because he's so authentic in his terribleness,
He's
you know?
committed.
So yeah, whether you believe in YOLO or not is kind of like, you know, what's your philosophy on taking risks and stuff. But I highly recommend you watch that video. Look up PBS Ideas channel. Was that Nico? Or no, Ryan who wants to say something.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, when I first read this question, my first thought was like, oh, yeah, like Drake, YOLO. But then I was like, maybe they're asking, do you believe in, like, second lives or something like that? And they just phrased it like this.
I mean, I believe in yo-yo because they're fun and you can learn tricks. But YOLO, I mean, if it's something that's going to cause you to say, what the heck, you know, when in Mexico, you know, eat Mexican food. But if it's going to cause you to say, you know, when in Mexico, jump off of someone's roof into the next door neighbor's pool, then no, because then you only die once. And then that's not what you want to go ahead and do. So if it's an excuse to do stupid things, no, I don't believe in it. If it's an excuse to, as we were talking about in the first question, really give everything your best effort, then
for sure.
And if you're asking me if I believe in more than one life, I actually do. So, but that's a completely different question. I think this is really just asking if I believe in the philosophy of, yeah, man,
YOLO.
YOLO.
For those of you who don't know.
It's almost like saying when in Rome or whatever, you know, right?
Yeah. I was just going to add in, for those of you who don't know, YOLO is you only live once.
Yeah, it's like, and
But
usually
if you don't
people
know,
yell it
it's-
before they do something horrible, like
Jump off
Like-
a building. But
like
not like in a cool way.
train surfing.
They want to be cool with it. It's
Like,
not cool, but like they
you
think
know.
it's going to be something epic.
Jumping off a building was so last season.
Montana?
Yeah, it's basically like Carpe Diem, but, you know, for stupid people.
It sounds about right.
That's pretty good.
But if you ask me if I believe in, like, Carpe Diem, I would take you more seriously and be like, yeah, seize the day. But, like, also, there was this one guy on, the thing with the bird. Jake, what's the thing with the bird?
I don't know. I have no idea what
pirate
that
ship?
means.
Sesame Street?
No, it's the blue one. Twitter.
Why
Wow.
Twitter, of all things?
Montana, you really lost the word Twitter. That
I
flew
mean,
right out
That
of your
one
brain.
thing with the blue bird?
Today in the car, we were talking about how Russia sent these geckos to space, and she goes, "How gecko? Why gecko?" And Jake and I were just looking at her like, "Are you crazy? What?"
No, because literally, you said like Russian space geckos, and
I
I,
said,
was
"Rest
just
in
like,
peace, Russian space geckos. They passed away."
well, because first of all, that's not like a sentence people say. So of course, my response was how gecko.
Neither
why
is
gecko?
how
yours.
gecko.
How gecko is not.
Wait,
Not
geckos live in Russia? I thought it was super cold there and they're cold-blooded.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So how gecko? Why gecko?
The Russians sent some geckos to space to try and see if they could reproduce. They sent them flies, which have totally reproduced, and the geckos died. But Jake, go ahead.
knows more about
So
science.
yeah, basically Russians were like, we're super behind on everything, so they decided to do crazy space science, in which they sent up a bunch of geckos to like mate and see if they could do it in zero gravity. All of them died. First, they lost complete control of the satellite, but they brought it back eventually. All of them died, but all of the flies they sent up there, like as like food for the geckos, totally reproduced in space. So we don't know what to take away from this, but Russians are kind of crazy.
Yo, science is 90% failure.
All right.
Oh wait.
Well, my science grade is anyway.
Oh, Montana, hold that thought for a second because I'm gonna grab the phone call. Hello, who's on our place?
Space Ghost.
Space Ghost, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You got
Did you
any
see the geckos
geckos
in
up there in
space?
space with you?
I can sadly say I don't.
Oh, that's good. They'd die anyway.
Dab
Did
it.
you want to add to the conversation?
About YOLO. Okay.
Yeah, please.
I believe that you live every single day and not just once. And I know you live when you sleep, but you're physically doing something every single day. So I think it should be, YOLD or something.
YOLD, like what? So what would that stand for? You only live daily,
Live, yeah.
or you only live always? YOLA.
Yeah.
All
Something
right.
like that.
We could always make up new stuff.
I
and just-
believe in Yodo. You only dip once. Okay, no double dip in here.
Oh, is that like? But on Passover, you can dip like.
That's very true.
More
You
than
did
once.
it 8 times for 10 times for the plagues.
And it's
Yeah.
your fingers. It's not even like food. You're dipping your
true.
fingers in
Talk
your
about
wine.
chips and all that
It just
stuff.
gives you a good excuse to splash red stuff all over the table.
Yeah. Drink 4 glasses of wine with your parents watching.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for calling, Space Ghost. We really do appreciate all of your thoughts. We're going to jump ahead. This question is from Confused Girl. Okay, so I kissed my crush recently as just a hookup at a party. He knows I like him, but doesn't want a girlfriend or a friends with benefits right now. But lately he's been looking at me a lot in class, blushing while talking to me, talking and flirting with me more often, and overall acting sort of different. He tells me he wants to hook up again, but since he doesn't want a friends with benefits, it doesn't really make sense. He's not a player at all. I'm the second girl he's kissed, and he got his first kiss 2 years ago. He's very sweet and funny. So does it sound like he might be interested as more than just friends? So confused. Also, any tips on how to make him more interested? All right, so I get that the core of her question is how do I get this kid more interested, but some of the things that she was willing to look past, accept,
Consider.
and be okay with, or was she saying he doesn't want a friends with benefits as that's a good thing because he's wants either no girlfriend or a dating situation, but he still seems willing to hook up with people that he has no affiliation with. So what's going on here, and why are girls willing to take whatever crumb a boy would throw them if it involves making out with some guy that's not dating you? I'm confused too. And then we're going to get to helping her with the question that she's asking, which is how do you get a guy who seems sort of interested but doesn't want a girlfriend to want to spend more time with you. Montana?
I think honestly that he's just super inexperienced and he doesn't know what's happening, and it's like there's this thing like you tell somebody you like them, and even if they didn't really like you before, it hits them, and then they start to kind of like consciously like
Picture it.
Yeah, picture it and like see them and like think about you and kind of if it's meant to be like you or whatever. But she's only the second girl he's kissed, so obviously he doesn't really know what he's doing, and I think he wants to like kind of feel it out, but he doesn't want to jump into anything because he's just like, I don't know what to do.
No, I think you're right. I don't think he's a jerk and I don't think he's a player, but how is it that the term friends with benefits is on their radar if these are 11 and 12-year-olds?
Wait, are they 11 and 12?
Well, how old are you when you haven't really dated or don't really want to
17.
Yeah, okay. So they could be in high school?
They could be in high school.
Okay. So how is it that a friends with benefits, that wasn't a term that we had when I was in high school.
Really?
How is that an accepted state of being? I mean, maybe it existed and you're just like, I don't know what we are. But
It's just
that
kinda-
title wasn't. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Montana and I had looked at the questions on the way over to Jake's today, and I was like, I actually had no idea that was a term until they made that movie, Friends with Benefits.
Me
Right.
too.
I didn't see it. I just saw billboards everywhere, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. So, I mean, that was just, I think it's kind of the same. I don't think it's a common thing. I think it's for sure something that happens with some people. But as far as getting a guy to like you who likes you but doesn't really want a relationship, or a girl for that matter, that's kind of like a slippery slope to go down because they're reluctant for a reason, and sometimes that reluctancy can be overcome by something like just showing them that they don't need to be reluctant. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. I like kind of had that in the past couple months or so, like with a girl who was like, "I like you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I like you too," and she's like, "But I don't want a boyfriend," and I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do with that?" So
Good question.
So I kind of just ended up putting it behind me, and I'm like, okay, then we can just continue to be friends because it's too complicated, and I don't want to deal with it. So and I'm totally fine with that, and she's fine with that, and it seems to be working out pretty well. So sometimes you got to just kind of put that behind you and move on with that, Jake.
Okay. So this guy seems to be reluctant to put labels on anything. So if you want to like move forward, you have to present a date like it's not a date, because he's not going to say yes to a date if he doesn't want a girlfriend. But if you two want to just go see a movie or something like that, that could be encouraged to try and push things along a little bit, even if he's reluctant. Because it's easier to accept, let's go to a planned activity of some sort, rather than let's go on a date, because that's very imposing and like scary when you're a 11-year-old or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're 15 and he doesn't want anything with any label, you have to hear what he's saying. You can't think, oh, but he means because he's making eye contact with me that he likes me. You still have to hear the words he's saying and accept that this may just be, really good friends who kiss. And if that's not what you want, Nikki, did you have something?
Yeah, at our school, we just did an article in the paper about the hookup culture, and how that's kind of growing amongst teenagers and college age kids, and how kids just really aren't having as many long-term like boyfriend girlfriend traditional relationships as they were when you were growing up, or even like 10 or 15 years ago.
And so what's your take on that?
I mean, I think I prefer the long-term boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Wait, is that like statistical stuff that's backed up, or is that just a perception?
It's a perception. I don't know how you would back that up statistically.
I'm going to back it up statistically or anecdotally by saying we didn't use words hookups, friends with benefits, or any of the stuff that the kid is using in this question. Like, those weren't words I knew.
I know,
you
but
were
it just
either
seems like
dating someone or you weren't dating, or you were just friends. It was either dating or just friends.
But I've like heard stories from my family and my like dad's friends and like my mom's friends of like stuff where they go to parties like in high school and stuff like this happens, and I don't think it's that different. I just think we
no,
look
for
at it
sure,
differently.
people have started making out at parties forever. Like, I think Caesar did that. So, that's for sure always been a thing. But then the next day the girl was just like, what? Or maybe the boy was just like, what does that mean? Do I get to ask what that means? And yes, you get to ask what that means. Jake.
Okay. Random Roman fact.
Oh, God, the Christmas. There we go.
Okay, what was it? Nero would invite house guests or guests over for dinner, and then have them sit at a table with him at the far end of the table, and they would sit across from a tombstone with their name on it of the current date. It was a lively party. It was fun.
Hey.
Nero was cool.
Wait, I don't get it.
I don't think it really has a lot to do with what we're discussing. It's just a cool Roman fact since I mentioned
said Caesar.
Caesar. I'm sure he
And
made
then I
out with
jumped
somebody
in.
too.
Oh, yeah, everyone did. It was
Everyone
Rome.
made out with
Yeah.
everyone.
Another Roman fact. Wasn't Christmas invented when a bunch of Roman dudes got together and just started making out with each other? Pretty much.
Oh, maybe that's where mistletoe was invented.
I saw that on TV somewhere. I don't know if that's true though.
I don't really
Montana.
take Boondocks for information. I thought I looked this up.
Montana
but-
has something important to say.
Oh, God. When you preface it like that.
Yeah, well, it was the only way to get Ryan to stop talking.
So,
Barely worked.
So she's talking about, like, she likes this guy. Does that mean she wants to be friends with benefits with him, or, like, in a actual relationship with him? Because the two are, like, different things.
I think she's at a point where she will take whatever she can get, which is why she's mentioned friends with benefits and why she's mentioned hooking up. Like, she's even willing to. She just wants him more interested. So ideally, she would like the term boyfriend attached to this whole thing.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're going to be friends with benefits, you have to, like, agree that, okay, we're just going to be friends. It's not going to get complicated, because otherwise, then what's the point? You're just tricking him into something.
You're tricking him, or you're tricking yourself into thinking that he wants more when this seems like this guy has been pretty clear. And he can become more interested through activities, as Jake suggested. But if he's saying he doesn't want a label, you have to hear what he's saying, because that's what the truth is. Who's calling? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Colfa. Did you have any...
Hello.
how are you doing this evening? All right. Summer fun, right? No, back to school fun. Did you have any thoughts on the friends with benefits, or just a girl who seems to just want a guy to be more interested, but doesn't really care which label. It seems like she would take any label she can get that's beyond like just this is a kid I know. She wants him to like her, and she would take any label she could get. See,
well, if she'll take any label other than just like being able to see him, then why not just be friends?
Well,
and
see, I think people,
evolve.
if you want to date somebody, then you say, like, he's been really clear with you about what he wants. You can also say, I would like to have a boyfriend one day, so I'm not going to be kissing you unless it's meaningful to both of us. I don't think the girls realize that they can say that. They think that that would push the boy away, but not necessarily, because I think boys like a girl who knows what she wants, just like girls like a boy who knows what he wants. What do you think, Mrs. Colfer?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty good? Nothing to add?
Mm-hmm.
I did it all?
Yeah.
Keo wants to say something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to say something just about the question in general. I don't think that, well, for one, I don't think it's necessarily gender-wise, because I could imagine the same situation with a boy who likes a girl.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like the most important thing is to figure out, this is what I think, and I don't know her because I don't know her, but I think that you should want more. You should want a boyfriend and not settle for friends with benefit. Just because that's how people in general are, they might convince themselves that they're all right with it, but they're kind of tricking themselves usually.
Right.
I think it's kind of rare for people to be actually okay with just friends with benefits. So I think you should be clear on what you want, and then you can move on from there once you've made the decision. Okay, I want a boyfriend. I don't want friends with benefits, and then move on from there. And if he doesn't want that, then you kind of got to move on.
Yeah, and you guys have already started the conversation about these types of things, so I think it's perfectly fine for you to say to him, and here's what I would like. So if you want to just hang out and go to a movie, because maybe over time as you're growing up together, he'll decide he's ready for a relationship, and you'll be magically there. Because everything is in a state of flux when you're a young person. I mean, it always is with any people that know each other. Things change, but you know, you just have to be open to other opportunities too. You can't just be focused on this one guy. Yo?
There is also one thing that kind of confused me, which is he says he doesn't want friends with benefits, but then later on he said he's talking about wanting to hook up again.
Well, she's confused about that too, is what she said.
Yeah.
She's confused about that too. Like,
so
he won't even put the label friends with benefits on it. As Jake was saying, he doesn't want any labels at all, but he wants to be able to make out with her.
So it sounds to me like he's confused, and he wants to do that, but he also knows that, like, he has an image of himself, and to have friends with benefits is like what a bad guy would do or what a player would do.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he doesn't know what it. Maybe he's scared to be in a relationship, or maybe he doesn't want.
But he would still like to experience kissing a girl. Nikki?
I think he wants something in between, and I think he wants benefits.
without
the friend. I mean,
enemies with benefits.
Sounds like he's being
just
very selfish about this. And
it does. I'm afraid to say it, but he could be either very young or he's being very selfish.
Yeah.
You called it, Jake.
Well, I could see him being selfish if he were like far more experienced or whatever. I honestly think he has no idea what he wants, just like she doesn't know what he wants. So he's just saying exactly what he knows that he wants, which is to make out with her more or whatever, and really doesn't know what he wants, like with a life plan or anything or a relationship. So I think that you two need to talk a lot and just kind of be okay with being friends for a while, or be okay with a lot of like communication, because either way, he's confused, you're confused, you should work things out.
Yeah. We're going to have to let you go, Mrs. Colfer, so we can leave the phone lines open. It's okay to just say to him, you know what, I like you a lot, but you don't just get to make out with me with nothing attached emotionally, because I'm an emotional person, you are too, and I just don't think it's healthy. So overall, do you guys think that is it healthier for boys and girls to experience the physical part of being with a person, in middle school and high school, or is it more important for them to experience communicating with a person?
Middle school, high school, if you're experiencing the physical part, you're going to be experiencing the emotional part too. There's like no disconnecting
I
the
know
two
you're going
that
to experience
early.
the emotional part, but what's more important, learning how to talk to a girl or learning how to kiss a girl?
Well, I mean, there's benefits to both. I mean, you don't just want to be when you're in high school, but you also don't want to be, hey, make out with me when you're like in high school. So really, just go for a normal relationship. There's got to be a balance.
Really, that's how I did it. Both. I just did both of those things.
Well, Keo's just the smoothest guy around, so I can't deal with that. My advice doesn't go well, Sam.
Sam?
Communication is key in anything, in a friendship or a relationship or a friends with benefits thing. And my little whatever, in my experience, because I have had a friends with benefits kind of a thing, it never works out. So just stay as far away from that as possible. Montana?
Yeah, about the friends with benefits thing, I mean, I guess for some people it can work, but a lot of people think that friends with benefits is just like you hook up with somebody and your relationship doesn't change and it's fine. And like you kind of have to be prepared for it to not like be boyfriend girlfriend, but for you to be like close and like know each other's business, and for it to maybe be a little weird, but like you're gonna have to cope through that. And if you're not like ready for like your emotions to be in it, even if it's just because you're really good friends and then you become really attached to this person who's your good friend but like not like romantically, then you have to be prepared for that too. And yeah, I do think it's important to learn how to deal with the emotional part, so the physical part comes later, but also don't make out like how Nico did that. That's nobody likes that.
Don't make out like Nico did.
I was just going to add in that, and I say it like day in and day out to everyone in every circumstance, that communication is key. And as far as like manipulation, getting what you want go, you will never hear no if you know how to communicate. You might hear like maybe, and then I'm sorry, I can't make it happen. But no one, if you talk to them the right way, will say like no. No one will turn you away. No one will say like, no one can respond badly if you know how to communicate. If you just like walk up to people and start making out with them, they can react badly. So as far as that's concerned, I think the communication is key, but also to communicate with everyone. But then there's also like Nico said, like there are some important things to being able to interact with people physically. And like having not kissed anyone until like high school, I was like nervous when I had my first kiss, but that was it. I was nervous, and then it all ended up fine.
Yeah, I mean it's nervous, and your brain is going, "Is this happening?" And then the next thing you know, it happened, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that happened!" And then it's like, "Oh, this is what everyone's been talking about." Okay,
I just sat there for like 20 minutes just thinking. Like,
oh my god! I mean, you definitely your head spins, but for sure, it's just like driving, like anything else. It's like, is this happening? Am I driving a car? I mean, it's like people do it, and you're a person, and you're going to figure out how to do it. So I know it feels overwhelming if you haven't done it yet, but you will, and you should wait with the right person, because a kiss isn't something you take; it's something that you share, and it should be with someone who wants to share it with you. Q.
Yeah. To your question about kissing versus communicating, I agree with mostly everyone. I think that it's definitely more important to communicate, just because it's my belief that we get more happiness out of relationships rather than just physical pleasure. Like it's a higher grade of happiness, I guess. So like in a relationship, you need to know how to talk to someone and figure things out and talk to the person. Whereas if you just go straight to kissing, then it's just physical, and it's not as important.
Yeah, relationships are a lot like a roller coaster. You have your friends, where you start out, and then you have your friends with benefits, where it goes up and down, and then you have your relationships where it can get up and it can get down, and it can get up and it can get down. And I'm going to be doing this for a little while longer, but there's like more risk, more reward the deeper you go, but it's a lot more worth it. I think it goes down,
and then you stop and you get off.
All right, we're going to jump in. And then you stop and get off. Keep your hands and arms and limbs inside the car at all times.
And you get on again if you don't believe in YOLO.
Okay. We are at 888-531-7170, and we would love to know what you think. But we're going to jump ahead to Thread Theater. We have too much show today. Oh, did you want to do that one?
My girl or my guy.
All right, who wants to read it?
Snutcher. You said I could read this one, Louise.
I did. I promised.
This question, Snutcher, I hold very deeply to my heart, close to my heart, so I want you to know that.
Snutcher?
Snutcher is the screen name. I
I'm
don't
sorry,
know what
but
snutching is, but this is it.
This is better than the one we had with the spiritual umbilical
Really?
cord.
Oh, we have
Just
a new
take
winner.
note.
Okay.
Well, this is our top 10 / not top 10, not top 10 winner. I'm not sure which one. I think it's not top 10, but I'll take it for what it is. Yeah. My sister and I grew up together. We still technically are growing up, and I just can't help but feel repulsed by every little thing about her. Everything she does just makes me want to throw up. She sings like a dying, high-pitched wail, and always louder than anything that could block out the noise. Showers, doors, loud music, headphones. Her hair looks like the hair they use to clean up oil spills, which I didn't know was a thing until I read this question. She's always sick, and since she has a retainer, she always has saliva all over her fingers, and she touches everything with them, even my stuff. I try to tell her how I feel about her leaving her retainer box everywhere, but she just says that she can't help it and that it's natural.
Saliva's natural.
We were in the car and listening to music while she was driving, and she wouldn't turn it off. My ears were hurting from listening to music loud enough, so I didn't have to hear her sing. I was stuck in the car and I had an anxiety attack. How do you get an anxiety attack from someone being ugly? But her feet and face both look like a toad. And does that include all the toes individually, or like? I know this sounds mean, but I can't help how I feel. I've tried everything I can get to her. I've tried everything I can to get her to listen to me and to try to get over it, but I can't, and I don't know what to do. It's become extremely difficult to live with her, the toad. I added that in, but
all right. So, I felt like this was a very descriptive.
Is there a question?
No, there wasn't a question. It was really a rant. And have we all not felt that way about a sibling? I don't think that at 30 she'll be leaving retainer saliva all over your things.
You never know.
And she still will be your most cherished sibling that you...
I still feel this way about Montana.
It will be your closest ally as you continue through this journey we call YOLO. But did you guys who are still in the middle of growing up with a sibling, want to comment about what it feels like when you're like in the throes of being annoyed by an individual? And like even if the kid did something rather pleasant, you would still find it the most disgusting thing in the world because you're just so over being near that person. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, me and my brother did not get along growing up. And his thing was that I don't know how he claims to death. He'll claim to death that it wasn't true. His hands were always greasy. I don't know what from, but they were always greasy. So if I wanted to like play a video game with him, he'd finally come and play with me after like days of begging, and he'd leave, and the remote would be greasy. And so I'd even like after that, I'd be mad at him. So he's actually like spamming me with texts right now, but which is kind of like leading into what I was going to say.
You mean like with his greasy fingers?
Probably. And he's in college now, so they're probably greasier from all like the greasy food
Pizza
he's been eating.
And yeah.
But but I had this extreme notion that if he went to college without us fixing our relationship beforehand, it wouldn't get fixed afterwards. And to me that made sense, and it still kind of makes sense logically. And everyone was like, nah, just as you get older, you grow closer together. And so he goes to college last month, and I'm like, oh, shoot, like, I still don't really like him. And, like, and I know that, and obviously I love him, but we didn't get along that well. And now that he's gone, he's spamming me with texts and, like, trying to talk to me, and we're having a good relationship. So sometimes as you grow older, as much as I was inclined not to believe it, like, my phone has been nonstop vibrating as evidence that just with age, relationships tend to get easier, especially
also,
with siblings.
Age and also space.
Yeah.
Let it breathe with time and with space.
When he doesn't live next to me is when he
two
starts texting
very
me.
lovely things that give you the perspective and the knowledge that there's only one human being on Earth who knows what it was like to grow up with these two parents in these houses with this experience, and that's him. And, and some of us have more than one sibling, and so there'll be more than one person that fulfills, that sort of role in your life. But honest to God, as you become adults and you each have your own lives, knowing that this person knew me, that my stinky saliva feet, kind of worst.
Retainer toads.
It sounds like she's describing an 11 or 12-year-old who won't be behaving this way forever.
Put some hot sauce on her retainer. She
And
won't
go
leave
ahead,
it around
Mike.
ever again.
Yeah.
I actually think she's not like younger because she was driving. Like her sister was driving her.
Oh, the saliva sister was driving.
That's a good
Toad
point.
sister.
Wow.
I didn't know toads could get driver's licenses.
Me neither. You
Wow.
learn something new every day.
Would college cure this one then?
Oh, hopefully. I
Time
mean,
and space.
The distance
space.
would. I mean, she
Time and
can't
space.
leave her
Time.
retainer at home if she's at college.
Nico, you have a brother that I've been told can be a challenge.
Oh, you've been told,
I have.
Lucy.
I've
Well,
heard
you know
legend.
what? My mom has been told by everyone who has come in contact with him that he's been a challenge, which isn't to say it's bad of him. I've been a huge challenge before him. The way my dad describes
No.
No?
There are those of us who have heard about you guys since you were born, and he's how many years younger than you?
He is 5.
So he's 5 years younger than you, and so when he was 1, 2, 3, your mother would say things like, "I don't think I'm going to make it."
She still says that.
Yeah, because that's just Dante. He's just a different person. He's just always
He's-
at like
he's-
100 miles an hour.
He's definitely got a very alpha personality.
Yeah.
Like, he's the big dog around there. Like, he's always trying to be in charge, especially at the house, which gets really annoying. But, you know, whenever I have I really do get these moods where it's like, I've been with this person for so long that I'm going to get mad at them randomly, which really isn't healthy, but I guess it's natural at points. I mean...
It's a distance thing. It's like he's always there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I try to do something else outside of the house a little bit more. I mean, that's all I can think of, because when I started doing stuff away from Dante, I felt like I got a better relationship with him.
You missed him and you love him and all.
When I went to Cancun with the kid, oh my God, I was ready to strangle that piece. Oh God, it was ridiculous. When I get back, I'm with my friends, I'm hanging out. He does Dante stuff.
What does that mean?
He does Dante stuff.
He's just kind of ferocious.
You know Dante's Inferno? That ain't nothing.
He's kind of a beast. You know, he's just like
we
a
call him the
YOLO
Monchi.
guy.
we used to call him the Monchichi. The Monchi. He has this weird sound. He can make like this guttural roar in the back of his throat, like, but like a lot more terrifying. I'm not even joking. He did this for like so long. I'm kind of going on about my little brother. Point is, you got to give yourself a little space from him, because
Yeah.
living with anyone for that long will get stressful.
One thing I would ask is if you share a room with this person, just sort of ask if maybe can make a space for yourself, like even in a closet or just somewhere, just in the house, to give yourself like some space from this person, because she doesn't really understand the stuff that she does that annoys other people, but it's not that you don't love her deep down, it's just that she's annoying you, and annoyance can like interfere with your ability to see and feel love. And so that's not healthy, because it's got you enraged, and that's like not a natural, healthy state of being. Keo?
Yeah, it's definitely a distance thing. I know just from, well, I'll start with my brother right above me. I have 4 brothers. The one right above me has schizophrenia, and when we were growing up, we always like didn't get along. We would fight, and then this started happening, and it kind of opens your eyes to how important your brother is. It's like that all doesn't really matter anymore. He's in a different place, and this is a lot more serious. You need to like treat it differently and appreciate that you have that brother and that he's a person. So that when there's like important things like that, that kind of opens your eyes. And then like just from I had traveled with like we went on a class trip, and I roomed with my best friend, and we were just spending like every minute together for 10 days straight, and he's my best friend, and like we had never had any problems before, but like we started getting irritated with each other. So it's
Right.
like anybody with too little, like if you're too close to anybody, you don't have enough space, then it'll cause problems.
Yeah, like even the person that you marry. So you do have to think about that just like the close proximity of somebody, and the habits that you described, we really kind of identified. We weren't really laughing at you. We were just laughing at the frustration and how well you articulated it, because everyone's been there. I come from a family of 4 kids, and we're all 2 years apart, so we were all always growing up together. Wasn't a lot of distance. We were very close. We shared one bathroom, and they're all 3 of those people are my very best friends on earth. Always will be. Always have been since we grew up and grew apart from each other, because the love that we had is what remained after all of the fighting, all of the yelling, all of the crying, all of the, being sent to our rooms and our mom never listening to who started it because it wasn't ever me. And, just feeling like you weren't heard, because like most sibling rivalry is a competition for parental love and approval, and you don't realize it at the time, but if you think about it, that that's what it's about. Like, yes, she's getting on your nerves, and so there's that aspect of it, but really she's just kind of like in the way of you being the one that your parents prefer. And I really feel like parents don't ever have a favorite. I feel like that every person is so unique and interesting and special. They may have a different relationship with each one of you, but like love is not a quantifiable product. It just is, and it's abundant. And so they may find you easier, Nico, but they love Dante, and you. It's just not something you could.
No, they don't.
He's just been more of a challenge, and you've been easier. So if Dante had come first, you probably wouldn't exist. We are at 888-531-7171. I don't know if we have time to get into the...
Let's save it for next week and make a huge thing out of it.
Because it's really big.
The
so
Thread
should we
Theater?
do another question? Do
The
Electric
Thread Theater
Serenity?
could take me years, so yeah, let's not.
All right, Electric Serenity. Who wants to read that one? I'll do it. All right, Nico?
Like, my best friend, who is 15, is dating a guy who's 16, and I'm worried about her. Their relationship is so unhealthy, and here's why. Like, he is obsessive over her. He always has to know where she is, like, who she's with, like, what she's doing. He gets mad at her, has to, for not being able to text him, like when she's at work. She also skipped out on a family camping trip because there would be no Wi-Fi or service there, and he would get mad. What? He even gets mad at her for things that she wears. This one time, we were walking around with wearing high-waisted shorts and bikini tops. He got mad because he didn't want her showing off her body to off the other guy. What can I do, Weezy?
All right, so even though you turned that into...
That was beautiful.
A Saturday Night Live sketch, it actually is like a legitimate thing where you have these over-controlling... And I'm sure there's girls that are over-controlling this way, too. But it seems like it's more ominous when it's the man who's being over-controlling, because you worry that the girl is going to be vulnerable and going to be contained by her desire to remain in a relationship and compromise all of her original thoughts. Montana?
Yeah, nobody with this situation who stays in that relationship ends well. The best advice, I think, would to just be like, get out of it. If she wanted to sort of give him a chance, I wouldn't. But if she wanted to, she could be like, hey, you need to stop being obsessive, otherwise we're going to end. Give him like a little bit of time maybe to like get his stuff together, explain himself, and if he does, great. I'd still be super cautious because like he has this thing for, I guess, obsessiveness, and I don't know why he has that. It's probably
he's insecure.
Yeah, he's insecure, but no, not specifically like why. But he's insecure about her like being her own person, so she needs to like lay it out straight that I'm gonna be my own person. You can't control me. I'm sorry if you want to, and honestly, just get out of there.
Well, I agree with everything you said. I also, like, one of the things I say a lot is that I take a lot of what I do is focused on personal responsibility, but that also comes with, like, taking action for yourself, and that you come first, and that also has to do with sometimes taking the not consequences, but the negative things that can come with that, like him getting mad. If you want to go camping and wear a bikini while you do it, if that's what you want for some reason, I know, I'm just saying, like, if you want to do them together even, go ahead and do that, like. And if he wants to get mad, he gets to be mad. And if that's what ends the relationship, then so be it. And if it doesn't, and if he can deal, then he'll deal. But I think you need to explain to her that she can't live her life based on what he wants her life to be like. She needs to do what she wants to do, and he needs to let her do that. And I don't think it's the kind of thing where you just say, he is too obsessive, I'm leaving. But you say, if he's going to get mad over me not giving him what he wants, which is total contact with you, that would be a situation where you leave.
But also, as her friend, you may not be able to do anything other than to gently advise her. She has to walk her own walk. And unless you feel like this person is physically dangerous, you really can't make her break up with him. Nico?
Yeah, First off, before we go into that, be a little more confident in your relationship, guys. Like, it's not fun dating super insecure people. You'll always feel like you have to reassure them, and it's just really not a fun ride. So there's a reason why they started dating you. Be a little more confident in yourself. And secondly, when you're talking about, like, trying to give your friends advice on their relationships, as an outsider, you can see a lot more than they do, but on the inside, they are going to be willing to be blind to a lot of the information you present. Like,
Right.
it's really hard to talk to someone about this because if you say anything bad, they're going to feel as if it is some kind of attack on their relationship, and it could end a friendship if you go the wrong route.
Yeah, good advice.
So you really need to be careful. You need to tread your line, and I think Sam has something more important to say.
Yeah, I remember a couple weeks ago answered the question kind of like the best friend liked.
Yo, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I was
best friend
thinking
liked.
of.
Yeah. So basically, best friend again. You have to walk a really, really fine line, and yeah, you have an outsider perspective and everything. But like I said a couple weeks ago, you don't understand the dynamic, and yes, it doesn't seem like a very healthy relationship. But you can't do much. Just talk. It's not very healthy. So yeah.
Yeah,
all I
once
can
someone
pretty much
is
say.
outside of the relationship, they have that perspective. They're like, why did I do that for so long? Then you can say, maybe because you thought that that's what you deserved, or
Yeah.
that he was kind of like,
And she
'cause
could possibly like all the attention with it too.
it's that too, but it's also like what controlling guys tend to do is they tend to beat you down and make you feel like nobody else would ever love you, and tell you, you have to do this or that, or, you're not going to do any better than me. I'm the best you're ever going to have. And like they say those types of things they demoralize the girl in order to control the girl, because they're the ones that really feel insecure. So when she's on the other side of that, you can just gently say to her, that's just not what you deserve. It's not healthy, and you want a guy who's like, hey, I'm going to be at the basketball game, you go camping, and I'll see you in a couple days. Have a great time. I can't wait to hear all about it. That's the coolest guy ever, and that's who you deserve to be with, Q.
Yeah, I wish I could give direct advice to the guy, because it's really just not attractive, it's not attractive or cool to be always controlling and dependent and
Needy and desperate, yeah.
And I wish. Secondly, I wish I could give I could give advice to the girl.
Here's how to be attractive.
I couldn't give attractiveness to you guys. Yeah, sure.
Here's got unlimited attractiveness to just hand out.
Stop messing with my brain. I wish I could give advice to the girl, to tell her to talk to the guy and say, this is how I am. If you're not all right with it, then you need to figure out how to be all right with it, or we need to not be together.
Attractive.
As a friend, I would say keep your friend's confidence up and make sure that they're feeling good about themselves, and that whenever he says something that's untrue, like you were saying about beating down your confidence, that's not true, and keep talking to her, hang out with her with other people and things and stuff like that. That's my advice. Right?
I totally agree with that also. And like Keo, I wish that we could talk directly to the two people in the relationship. And that's something that's hard sometimes when we get outsider questions about relationship advice. But as far as communicating with best friends about their relationships, as far as that's concerned, I think it does depend, because sometimes you just have to be supportive, and that's about it. But I have probably 3 or 4, I'd say I have 4 friends who, no matter what I say, no matter what I say about whatever it is, they'll still be there for me. It might drive a relationship apart. Things I do might separate us a little, but I don't think that there's, with those 4 people, I'm pretty sure I could say whatever I wanted to them without consequences. If that's the type of friend, sometimes it is best to really just say, look, here's what I'm seeing, and I care about you, and I'm not saying that I want you to break up with them because I want you to be happy, which I've done with people before, but just here's what I'm seeing. And sometimes that is the best route. If that's not the relationship what you have with this person, like they said, it can drive a relationship apart. And so you need to be wary of that.
Here's how it looks from my point of view. And I just want you to see that there is a world out there beyond this one guy, because sometimes people will put everything together and rearrange to stay in that relationship because they're not willing to look at how things would look if they weren't dating that person. And you have to take that gigantic leap in order to get free. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, one more quick point. If you're on the outside, you're never allowed to say, this is happening. You're allowed to just be, I'm worried that, or to me it seems like, because if you're starting off right at the point of, let me tell you how your relationship works. That's never going to come across well. You need to be a concerned friend, or like, worried for them, or like, here's what I think, because that's much harder to dismiss because it's just their feelings. You can't say, no, you don't feel that. That's wrong, right? You're never allowed to say, this is what's happening. You're allowed to say, I'm worried that this might be happening.
Right.
And that's a much better way to approach it.
That's very important how you frame it. Ryan?
As a closing note, those parents who said she didn't have to come because there wasn't Wi-Fi to a family camping trip, I'm sorry, but like, I lose a lot of faith when I hear things like that.
But, that could go to the root of the problem.
I mean, she probably came up with a different excuse.
Yeah,
I guess, but
yeah.
What excuse do you have? I mean, like, what could you come up with? I'm going to be sick that weekend. Like, what?
Or just,
I heard there's bears.
I guess.
Thank you so much for everyone for being with us. Thank you for everyone who called in. We are Our Place Out Loud, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Wondering, I've been in here wondering, hoping, reaching, wishing I could find my way. Then I found our place where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. I may look a little hazy and I may feel a little crazy. I'm sifting through confusion and I'm searching for solutions, and I know I'm answer bound, 'cause I found our place where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. And our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. And our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be